I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. MAGA Republican George Santos, I hardly knew ya. But then again, did anybody really know who you are? Because every word out of your mouth is a complete lie. Well, it looks like George Santos is headed for a plea agreement. Looks like he is gearing up to plead guilty. Just reading the tea leaves here in connection with the Department of Justice prosecution of George Santos for engaging in numerous crimes, including wire fraud and making false statements. George Santos, of course, lied about every aspect of his life, from where he went to school, where he went to college, what jobs he held, what his religion was, whether or not his parents were in 9/11, whether his grandparents were in the Holocaust, just all complete and total lies. Of course, George Santos also created a sham charity, it didn't really exist, where he preyed on homeless military vets and promised them that he would raise money to get their pets the care they need to survive, and then he ended up stealing the money and allowing the pets of military veterans to die. But that's what it means to be a MAGA Republican, right? Today, that's what the Republican Party is. Kevin McCarthy is supportive of him. The MAGA Republicans are supportive of him. Heck, they gave him some pretty good committee hearings, knowing pretty much all of what I had said from the outset. So how do I know that George Santos is likely negotiating a plea agreement to plead guilty for the various crimes he's been charged with? If you read between the lines of a letter that was just sent by the Department of Justice to Judge Siebert, the judge presiding over the case involving George Santos's crimes in the Eastern District of New York, it's fairly clear that's what's going down. Let me read for you the letter. And let me tell you about the implications of this and what it probably means. Will there be a special election in the spring of 2024? First, let's take a look at this letter. Here it is. This is written by the Department of Justice in the case United States versus George Anthony DeVolder Santos. And it says the following: Dear Judge Siebert, the government respectfully writes in advance of the status conference scheduled in this matter on September 7, 2023, at 12 p.m. to request that the court adjourn the status conference to October 27, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. and enter an order of excludable delay pursuant to Title 18 U.S. Code Section 316 sub H7A from September 7, 2023 through October 27, 2023. The defendant joins in this request. So it seems like the government's being pretty nice here to George Santos, excluding time for when this case can go to trial and accommodating his extensions. My radar goes up there a little bit as a litigator. And then it goes on to say, since the last status conference in this matter on June 30th, 2023, the defendant has continued to review the voluminous discoverable material previously produced by the government and requires additional time to continue reviewing that material. In addition, the government anticipates making another substantial production of discoverable material pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 16 this week. Here it goes. Defense counsel has indicated that he will need additional time to review the material as well. Further, the parties have continued to discuss possible paths forward in this matter. The parties wish to have additional time to continue those discussions. Accordingly, the parties are jointly requesting the court exclude the time from September 7th, 2023 to October 27th, 2023 to allow defense counsel additional time to review discovery materials and for the parties to continue discussing paths forward. Discussing paths forward is code word for their negotiating a plea agreement, and the continuance here being requested to adjourn, to move the September 7th hearing to October 27th hearing would be part of an agreement being worked out by George Santos's lawyer and the DOJ, where plea negotiations appear to be productive to say, all right, let's continue this for 30 days or so or 20 days or so in order to negotiate a plea deal. So I would not be surprised if on October 27th, 2023, or shortly thereafter, we heard that George Santos was going to agree to plead guilty to some of the crimes he is being accused of here. Remember, he's also already admitted to the crimes he's committed in Brazil. So what does this mean? There would be a special election that would be taking place in spring of 2024. That's when you would have a congressional race taking place there. And then ultimately, if there was a spring 2024 special election, then there would have to be another election in the general elections in 2024. But I would anticipate that to be a pickup of a Democratic seat because, of course, look how embarrassing and humiliating the MAGA Republicans have done to that congressional seat. By the way, that's my hometown. That's where I grew up. So in honor of George Santos likely negotiating a plea agreement with the government, can we go back to just some of the greatest hits here? Remember, after George Santos was arraigned, he just basically parroted the language of the biggest whiner of them all, Donald Trump, and said, "This is a witch hunt. There's a witch hunt. There's a weaponization." Here, play the clip.
Fight to defend myself. The reality is it's a witch hunt because it makes no sense that in 4 months, 5 months, I'm indicted. You have Joe Biden's entire family receiving deposits from nine family members receiving money from foreign destinations into their bank accounts. It's been years of exposing. A lot of you here have reported on them, and yet no investigation is launched into them. I'm going to fight. I'm getting back to that. I'm going to fight my battle. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to fight the witch hunt. I'm going to take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing
Congressman,
that.
did you take?
Then, of course, there are always videos of like George Santos, like just with cameras on him, like just walking away and saying ridiculous things. Remember when George Santos and Marjorie Taylor Greene were like the only people who showed up to Donald Trump's arraignment in Manhattan back in March? And then when George Santos realized that like no one wanted him there, this happened. Play the clip.
I'm doing nothing. I'm leaving.
Are you coming back at all later today?
No, because you guys make it unbearable to be here.
Why are you here then?
I came to support the president, but...
And then all the videos. Remember, this was George Santos telling reporters that if 142 people asked him to resign, he'll resign. Play the clip.
Congressman, what's your reaction to members of your own party calling for your resignation?
Are you planning to resign?
Congressman, what about
You resign,
Will you resign if the voters
your
want
voters
you to
call
resign?
for you?
142 people asked for me to resign. I'll resign.
How about this interview from, I believe it's with Piers Morgan, who asks him, how could you think that you would be able to get away with all the lies? And Santos is like, well, I did it before. So that's what we just do in the Republican Party. Here, play this clip.
Lies about even your academic record. I'm just struck, not necessarily that a politician would lie, but that you would think no one would find out.
Well, I'll humor you this. I ran in 2020 for the same exact seat for Congress, and I got away with it then, and I guess...
Right. Well, that's honest.
Stupid.
So you thought, actually, they're not going to find out?
No, I didn't think so.
But yes, we all know George Santos is a complete and utter fool, but he is what the MAGA Republican Party has become, right? It's not an aberration. This isn't like a fringe, oh, just crazy George Santos. No, it's like, who do you got? You got Santos, you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, you got Lauren Boebert, you got Matt Gaetz. I mean, all of them are bizarre and dangerous and engage in very suspect conduct, would be putting it very nicely. But by the way, this is all supported by the leader of the Republican Party, Kevin McCarthy, who in turn is part of the MAGA Republican cult and kisses Donald Trump's you-know-what. So here is Kevin McCarthy on the Mark Levin show. That's how Mark Levin talks. Mark Levin is like, these people are like cartoon villains, all of them. And here Kevin McCarthy is asked about George Santos. And McCarthy says he would rather have George Santos lead the country than President Biden. Like, that's how unserious, that's how unserious and ridiculous these people are. Here, play this clip of McCarthy.
Mr. Speaker, first, a very quick question. Who has more power, Joe Biden or George Santos?
Well, right now, I think it is the president, Joe Biden, unfortunately.
Well, there you have it. We'll report more when I think we'll be finding out soon that George Santos will be entering a guilty plea. It hasn't happened yet, but it's obvious when you read that document with a discerning legal eye what's going on there. Maybe it doesn't have to be all that discerning. But you let me know. Put it in the comments. Have you checked out our new Patreon? Go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. MeidasTouch. Check it out. Have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.